Welcome back, everyone. Today, we uncover a case that sent shockwaves through the quiet town of Lakeshore Village, a tragedy so layered with deception, secrets, and darkness that it left even the most seasoned investigators baffled. Beneath the serene surface of this seemingly perfect suburb, the Miller family, Kevin, Diane, and their children Claire and Max, were living a life that, to outsiders, seemed idyllic. But behind closed doors, something was deeply wrong. This is the story of Claire Miller, a bright, ambitious teenager who, over the course of 2 years, methodically unraveled into someone unrecognizable to those who loved her. The journey through her transformation is as chilling as it is haunting. Let's piece together this puzzle, layer by layer. Lakeshore Village was the kind of suburban haven that felt insulated from the world's ugliness. Rows of identical houses with perfectly maintained lawns, family-friendly block parties, and a strong sense of community painted a picture of safety and contentment. Kevin Miller worked as an accountant, steady and reliable, while Diane Miller's thriving real estate career made her the social glue of the neighborhood. Their 2 children mirrored their success. Max was the boisterous middle schooler, and Claire was the golden child, a high school senior with dreams of attending an Ivy League school. To everyone in town, the Millers were the family you aspired to emulate. Claire, in particular, stood out. Her academic achievements, leadership in extracurricular activities, and charming demeanor made her a role model for peers and a source of pride for her parents. But appearances, as we now know, can be deceiving. Claire's shift wasn't dramatic. It began as a quiet withdrawal, easy to mistake for teenage angst. At 16, she started skipping social events, declining invitations to parties, and isolating herself in her room under the guise of studying. Her bright, carefree laugh became rare, replaced by a stoic expression that her parents rationalized as stress from her heavy workload. Unbeknownst to them, Claire had developed an obsession, one that consumed her during the hours she spent alone. Late at night, her bedroom light glowed as she pored over true crime documentaries, articles, and graphic depictions of violence. Her journals, once filled with poetry and college aspirations, began to fill with darker thoughts. Violent fantasies, cryptic drawings, and detailed musings about control and power filled page after page. When Claire turned 17, she began frequenting online forums that glorified chaos. These spaces, hidden in the darker corners of the internet, were havens for those fascinated by violence. Claire's intelligence and methodical thinking quickly made her a standout participant in these groups. She began communicating with people who encouraged her darkest thoughts, validating her feelings and pushing her deeper into the abyss. At school, Claire's peers noticed her transformation. Once a regular fixture at after-school gatherings, she began to avoid friends. She just stopped caring, one classmate later recalled. It was like she had somewhere else she'd rather be, and we weren't invited. Her parents, Kevin and Diane, missed the signs. They chalked up her behavior to the typical mood swings of adolescence. Claire's grades remained impeccable, her social media showcased a curated version of her life, and she still participated in family movie nights. The Millers saw what they wanted to see. Everything changed the day Claire met Daniel Stokes. Daniel was an enigma at Lakeshore High. He wasn't popular but wasn't ostracized either. With his dark wardrobe, scribbled notebooks, and a reputation for sketching occult symbols on his papers, he floated on the edges of social groups. Daniel exuded a quiet intensity that drew Claire in. Their friendship began in AP English, where they were paired for a group project. The connection was immediate, 2 misfits who understood the world differently. At first, their conversations revolved around literature, but they quickly spiraled into deeper, darker territories. Daniel wasn't just a confidant for Claire, he was an accelerant. He introduced her to philosophies about breaking societal norms and seeking freedom through destruction. Their late-night text exchanges were chillingly methodical, with Daniel feeding Claire's already dangerous tendencies. "It's about power," Daniel once told her during a conversation they had after school. "The ability to decide who deserves to exist." Claire was enthralled. With Daniel's encouragement, she began to view her violent fantasies as more than idle thoughts. They became a blueprint. May 12th was an unremarkable day for most of Lakeshore Village. But for the Miller family, it marked the night their world imploded. Kevin and Diane had gone out to celebrate their 20th wedding anniversary. Claire, insisting she had a school project to finish, stayed home. When her parents returned that night, the house was unnervingly silent. Diane descended into the basement to check on Claire and found an open notebook lying on the floor. Its pages detailed gruesome acts of violence, alongside a single chilling sentence: "The hunt begins tonight." Alarmed, Kevin and Diane tracked Claire's phone location through a family app. It pinged at the edge of the woods on the outskirts of town. When they arrived, they found Claire's car parked by the roadside. Inside was another notebook, open to a fresh page. Written in Claire's meticulous handwriting were the words, "It's time to remove the mask." Terrified, they plunged into the woods, their flashlights cutting through the darkness. In a clearing, they found Claire standing over the lifeless body of Daniel Stokes. Blood stained her hands, and a knife glinted under the moonlight. "Claire?" Kevin's voice trembled as he called out. Claire turned slowly, her face devoid of emotion. Her voice was calm, eerily detached. He wanted to know what it felt like to die. "I gave him what he asked for." In the chaos that followed, Claire dropped the knife and disappeared into the woods, leaving Kevin and Diane paralyzed with shock. Claire was apprehended 3 days later at a gas station miles away, accompanied by Tyler Griggs, a man with a history of manipulating vulnerable individuals online. Police unearthed a trove of evidence tying Claire to multiple unsolved disappearances in nearby towns. Her journals detailed not only her plans for Daniel but also a list of potential targets, including her parents. The trial that followed was a national spectacle. Claire remained emotionless throughout, never offering an apology or explanation. "The mask was suffocating," she said in her only statement. "I had to break free." Claire was sentenced to life in prison without parole. For Kevin and Diane, the aftermath was unbearable. They left Lakeshore Village, unable to face the whispers and judgment of neighbors. But no distance could erase the scars. Years later, a letter arrived from Claire: "I'm ready to talk." When they visited her in prison, Claire's demeanor remained chillingly detached. She offered no answers, only cryptic acknowledgments: "I've always been this way. I'm sorry you couldn't see it." Kevin and Diane left more broken than before. The daughter they had raised was gone, replaced by someone they could never understand. The Lakeshore Massacre raises questions that defy easy answers. Was Claire Miller a victim of circumstances, or had darkness always resided within her? Her story forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about the limits of understanding and the unknowable depths of the human mind. Thank you for joining me on this harrowing deep dive. If you'd like to explore more cases like this, hit the like button and subscribe for more. Stay safe out there.